Gigi Murin is why I'm making custom HoloOCG cards, plain and simple. When I did my custom Weissport set for HoloLive, covering all the members that hadn't gotten enough cardboard in the second Weiss set or appeared after that set's development, Justice hadn't yet debuted. Once they did, though, I realized I needed them to have cardboard, but it quickly became clear that I didn't know how to do that in Weiss without giving them more tools than felt reasonable. I still tried, but I couldn't meet my own expectations, so the related projects were shelved or delayed entirely. Then, the official HoloLive OCG came out, and despite the Set 1 meta being largely solved with Kaneda and the Promise Pile, it gave me hope that it could give me my Gigi Murin cardboard fix. I say GG specifically because, as much as I like all of Justice, this gremlin was concocted in a lab for me specifically. Shared special interest, infectious joy, and a knack for matching her collaborators' vibes, hook, line, and sinker, I'd become a Grem, and I could not keep chewing on the shoebox walls for sustenance forever. Once we knew Gigi wouldn't have a full set of cards to work with by set 4, I committed myself to my dark work, and now my monster is ready to be released upon an unsuspecting world. Today, we're talking about the Chaser, the Gremlin, HoloLive English's latest harem protagonist, Gigi Murin. We have one GG card at the moment, a spot holomem, that has no special interest tags. When I was designing my GG package, I didn't want to do that, so after some deliberation I went with #art. It's not just because I made those other #art support cards, though it's definitely a fun coincidence. The main reason is the doodling she does for her tweets and her creative energy. I'd used the same logic to give Korone some #art cards if I'd been asked to weigh in on our design, but the doggo has #animal ears already at least. Gigi isn't actually a Kimono Mimi, and though she's pretty decent with a video game gun, she doesn't quite vibe as a shooter either, so #art it is. Speaking of art, let's start with default pose number 1 and Gigi's unlimited debut. 90 HP, no cost to baton pass, and deals 30 damage with her Gigi Murin for 1 yellow cheer. Same stat block as the Ayame starter deck unlimited. We're aiming for a different approach than the other yellow decks we've seen so far, and this is a very solid base to start that process with. Mobility is the name of Gigi's game, as we'll see when we get into her cards with effect text on them, but we've got one more vanilla to cover first. 170 HP, no baton pass cost, and for 1 yellow and 1 other cheer, her Goodnight Grems will do 50 damage. No second high cheer tech like most of the other yellow mems, HP's average for vanilla First Bloom, but you keep all of your cheer when baton passing her back and forth. I made these cards long before I saw any of Cecilia's, but I find it very funny that I made this cheer retention game plan part of Gigi's. And then Cece's cards are also about hanging on to the cheer you get, but with a different mechanism. Auto Fister happens wherever you look. Beautiful. Now for a change of pace. Actual card text. The other debut Gigi has 60 HP, doesn't pay cheer to baton pass, and has a collab effect. Ooh, what's this? On collab, you roll a die. If you get 4 or less on it, you give the top card of your cheer deck to one of your back column M, and if you got a 1, the Gigi slides back to your backstage. If she does stay in collab position, her art, It Was Your Face, requires 1 yellow cheer and deals 20 damage, which is more damage but more restrictive on cheer requirements than the starter deck ASCII's Any Color Cheer for 10. The starter deck ASCII made too much sense for Gigi as a profile, and both to make sure this was a main set level card and to fit Gigi's theme, I gave it 0 baton pass cost. This could probably go either way, honestly, but I felt like color restricting the art and leaving the 10 would be a little too weak, even in conjunction with the free baton pass. Let me know how you feel about it in the comments. Our next stop on this journey is Gigi's Collab First Bloom. 150 HP, 1 cheer to baton pass, and for a yellow and a second cheer, deals 40 damage so that you don't leave her in there. Her collab effect is Let's Gotcha. Roll a 6-sided die. On an odd roll, salvage a cheer in your archive for your center or collab holomem, and on an even roll, salvage a Grem from your archive to attach to a Gigi on your stage. It took a while for me to figure out, but I realized that as a D&D girly, giving her a dice rolling theme just made too much sense. This card is the recovery engine. What you get back is random, by either getting a cheer or a fan back from waiting room whenever you collab with her, and 150 HP is tanky enough for a first that your opponent's going to have to think about their attack targets a bit more carefully. Do they go after your center, or do they take out this kind of annoying piece of recovery? The start of her in the EN crane machine is adorable. Very good Gigi. And I think the card's pretty solid too. But what does getting a Grem for your archive even do for you? Well, a Grem is a fan that you can archive when the Gigi it's attached to rolls a die, and that noble sacrifice allows you to re-roll all the dice rolled for that effect. The new HoloOCG effect just made sense to me here. We're here for a dice rolling gimmick, and Gigi loves her Grems enough to keep them in rotation, so of course they feed back into that by helping her hit the number she wants. Grem out of 10. Thank you for your service, squishy yellow creature. Seriously, what the hell are we? Speaking of creatures, Gigi's Idol First has 120 HP and baton passes for 1 cheer. Her Bloom effect, Do You Remember, lets you check the top 2 cards of your deck, grab up to 1 #JusticeMem from among them, put it into your hand, and put the rest back on top in any order. Her art, Never Was a Cloudy Day, requires 1 yellow and 1 other cheer, and is a variation of the Mio Buzz's art. Base 30 damage, and you can archive the top card of your deck. If that card was a HoloMem, you'll deal 50 damage instead, and if it was a Grem, it'll be 70 damage. September 21st is coming early this year thanks to this card. You get a chance to refund the hand you spent on blooming her, top deck knowledge, and potentially 70 damage for conditions she helped set up for herself. No dice? No problem. She'll sing her heart out anyway. Godspeed, Gigi Murin, first bloom, open parenthesis, idol outfit, close parenthesis. Now we're gonna have some fun, trademark. Gigi's Buzz First Bloom has 240 HP and baton passes for 2 cheer, but you probably won't be paying that cost very often. For 2 yellow cheer, Gigi will hit someone right in the shoebox, which deals 40 damage base but gives you a die roll. 2 dice, add them up, multiply the result by 10, and add that to the damage. That's right, potentially 160 damage before tools and whatnot, but that's not really the goofy bit. At the end of your performance step, if she downed a HoloMem this turn, her gift Catch You Later triggers and gives you the opportunity to switch her with one of your non-resting back row HoloMem. Like Mokoko Buzz, you can use this to make sure she doesn't rest after collabing, but unlike Mokoko Buzz, you trade that for another of your mem being in harm's way on your opponent's turn. Definitely some tactical considerations there. High reward profile, whether the risk is balanced or not remains to be seen, but yeah, no, this goes hard. Feel free to screenshot. Her second bloom is probably a bit more reasonable. 180 HP, baton passes for 1 cheer, and for 1 yellow and 1 other cheer exclaims, target locked to deal 60 damage. Gigi Easy, her second art, requires 2 yellow cheer and 2 other cheer, so half the investment, and it's green for plus 50 damage. The art deals 100 base damage and asks for a die roll. On an odd result, your opponent's center and Collab each take 30 special damage, and on an even result, the art gets plus 60 power, hitting for 160 before other modifiers. Guaranteed 160-ish damage, but potentially split into 130 and 30, and it's not entirely up to you which one you get, but you're not expected to attack with just this second in a given turn. Let's talk about why that is with Gigi's Oshi. As a 5-life yellow Oshi, Gigi's in good company, and her Oshi skill Whirl for Initiative is almost identical to another fan-based HoloMems. For 2 holo power, you get to roll a die. On anything but 1 or 2, you salvage Grem from your archive, while on 1 or 2, you salvage 2 Grems. Miko's Oshi skill with the numbers changed for knowable reasons, which in conjunction with the fact that Grems are rerolls rather than cheer ramp like 35p or Zane, means you aren't going to need this skill too often, meaning you're pretty much guaranteed to have holo power prepared for her SP skill. Her SP Oshi skill, Me When I Get You, triggers when your #Justice HoloMem in center position downs one of your opponent's HoloMem. When that happens, you can pay 3 holo power to swap your center for a not resting Gigi Murin in your backstage. Meaning, as far as I understand the rules of HoloOCG, you can get 3 arts off in 1 turn with this. The goal is to use this to guarantee a double knockout on your turn. With your Idol First, Buzz, and second blooms all dealing good damage, as well as access to cheer ramp, you should have what you need to get 3 attack ready Gigis on stage to make this happen. I'm curious how achievable this ends up being in practice and if it's actually good, because I'm not gonna lie, I'm not entirely sure. There's a couple of things to note about this Gigi package that make me think that way. First, this is a full Oshi package plus 1 card. I didn't know if I liked it with a Buzz or a second finisher more, so I ended up making both. Using current design models, Gigi wouldn't see the Buzz in her initial release, getting it as a single piece of support in a later set. That means your peak damage in the switcheroo game plan wouldn't be fully realized at first. Until we see set 5 and maybe a different take on set structure, that's how I'd do it too, but I don't have enough cards to make a full set yet. Emphasis on yet. Second, Gigi's Oshi is cool, but also not strictly necessary for a game plan. If all you can get in a turn as one KO because you didn't have a call-in to force a second target, you're not getting something out of the SP, and her base skill needs Grems and Archive, which, odds are, you'll need outside help to ensure. Idle Gigi can get them in there, but they have to be top deck when she attacks for that to happen, and even with a top 2 check, that's not terribly consistent. Definitely arguments to be made for playing a different Oshi, although at the time of rating, options for quote-unquote generic yellow Oshis aren't on the same level as white or green with Kanada and Pekora respectively. You probably end up still playing Gigi for a Gigi deck, but feel free to tell me where I'm wrong on that. Third, Gigi Second and Buzz both need their die rolls to play out correctly when going for their attacks to secure their KOs. In fact, the Buzz would feel absolutely horrendous if you kept rolling Snake Eyes. Ironically, Set 4 kind of solves this problem with Laplace's package. That one doesn't care about whether or not you get the dice rolls you wanted, just that you rolled dice, period, and also provides ample opportunity to do so with her firsts. There might be enough tools here to smooth out the issues with a gambling-centered playstyle, but it's definitely higher risk, high reward in a pretty extreme way. Like I said before, HoloOCG isn't my main game by any means, and I don't have enough playtime on it to instinctually know what cards go meta and what cards wouldn't leave the binder. I tried to do my Oshi justice, and I'm confident I put together an archetype that feels Gigi Murin coded. Would it break out into the meta? I personally doubt. But is it a workable strategy with everything it needs to function? Absolutely, and that can be sufficient for me for now. Let me know what works for you about this and what doesn't in the comments below, along with whatever else your little heart desires. Until the next time you hear from me, I've been J3 Puffin, and say, do you remember the 21st night, September?